What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Can This Even Be Called Music Club edition number whatever it is, quarter one, 2026. 2026.
Let's go.
And what a quarter it's been. There has been
Yeah.
a ton of good releases. I think it took each of us some time and reflection to decide on a pick because there were so many good candidates. So after the main thing, definitely stay tuned for the honorable mentions at the end. I know we'll definitely have a bunch of things to whip through and cover there. But for our four big ones, I am bringing to the table Antropoceno no Ritmo de Terra, which is this incredible Brazilian folk metal indigenous music, also intersected with anthropological themes, and we'll dive into that. Dave, what are you bringing to the table?
Miserere Luminis, atmospheric black metal album from Quebec. We would say metal noir québécois, but you wouldn't say that.
I might.
You
No,
couldn't.
that's what I was gonna say actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk at length about it and its themes and its also relations to other pieces of art. So let's see.
Cool. I am talking about Cryptic Shift, Overspace, and Supertime. Stoked for it.
I am talking about The Forgotten Child, once again written, which Matt made me aware of, and I really enjoyed.
So,
Yeah.
and what do we got? What do we got on our bodies? I went to see an amazing concert this April. Dark Tranquillity, who was one of the seminal metal bands that got me sort of from pop and rock and MTV watching into more intense metal stuff. I got to see them for the first time, and opening for them, one of my favorite bands, Persephone from Andorra. I got to meet Carlos, who did a guest solo on a Patmos and Toymos album 11 years ago. Got up and said hi to him, and he remembered me, and that was a very cool thing to get to see them live and get to meet him. So that was fun.
I'm gonna go next. I don't have it on my body because I'm not young and slim anymore. But I've hung these, I did that with my old t-shirts, hung them like around. I find
Mm,
it pretty cool. This is a Follow the White Rabbit
yeah.
shirt. This is for the album Endorphinia, one of the greatest albums of all time. We gotta say, crazy Russian band. I would say a mix between I don't know mathcore and prog stuff. It's very good. Go check him out.
I've got I've got the Jarhead fertilizer shirt today. This is a very heavy, sludgy, uh, as much distortion as possible, mean guy band. So if that sounds like something you would like, listen to Jarhead Fertilizer. A good friend gave me this sweatshirt. It was very sweet of him. So that's what I've got on today. Jarhead Fertilizer.
I've got Between the Buried and Me, The Blue Nowhere from their recent show, the tour shirt.
I saw that as well, their tour. That was
Yeah.
great.
The tour
Awesome.
with The World is a Beautiful Place, right?
Yep.
Did they, so they had a couple different ones. Who were the openers at your show?
It was The World's a Beautiful Place and Imperial Triumphant.
Yeah, that's the same one I saw.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
What an incredible mix of bands, but just all of them were fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Huge fan. All right, shall we get into it?
All right, Matt, are you opening the
Yeah.
ball?
I'm up
Ready.
first. So,
Ready.
Antropoceno. This one came to my attention because Heavy Blog is heavy, and particularly Eden was like emphatic about everybody go listen to this right now. The cover art is immediately striking, an adaptation of a painting of Jaguar eating a missionary. So kind of tells you right up front what some of the themes are going to be. This is, I don't know how directly connected it is, but there's something in the Amazon water down there in Brazil because you've got all this fascinating experimental metal sort of mixed with electronic stuff and mixed with indigenous samba and capoeira and all these things that like I can't talk with any intelligence about, but
Mm.
Brazilian folk styles of music and blended in just a really interesting way. Like all of these projects have in common that their metal is never really like heavy in your face jarhead fertilizer style just brutal metal. It's like it's there, but it's this layer of fizzle and distortion that is a component of the sound, but not necessarily the centerpiece of the sound. And the other, I'm talking about like Kataria, Bree with the two eyes, and maybe one or two other bands that are like in that sort of wheelhouse. And here comes Antropoceno. So I'm like, all right, Brazil, what do you got for me this time? And I didn't realize until I was just reviewing this that this is apparently a solo project of one, who is it, Lua Viana, who must be incredibly talented because I thought I was listening to the Brazilian folk Slipknot with 9 to
Yeah,
possibly 25 members
yeah.
because there are so many layers of heavy instrumentation, folk instrumentation, various percussion instruments doing these complex rhythms behind everything. It is Bishop, you used the word dense when we were talking about this leading up to it. It's an incredibly dense sound, but also not a strenuous one to listen to. It's just it's melodically and rhythmically dense, but it's not overburdening to the ears. So there are just these songs that have this roller coaster effect of like intensity and heaviness, and then they pull back into these beautiful atmospheric, and atmospheric means a lot of different things in music, but this is like when this album is atmospheric, you feel like you're walking through the Amazon. You feel the indigenous, the rootedness of the land, the absence of civilization, which is sort of thematic to what's going on with the lyrics and the meaning behind this project. It's conveyed beautifully in the music itself. Um, and then you will get these melodic hooks, like track 3, Ayaba Oxum, track 4, Oya Dewo, have
Hmm.
these
Yeah, oh, yeah.
soaring vocal centerpieces that recur throughout the song that kind of anchor everything. And they're just, it was really track 4. The album hit me instantly, but when I got to track 4, I was like, this is special. Like, this
Yeah.
is really, really cool. I think that one has a guest vocalist on it as well. There's probably quite a few guests. I don't know the whole credits here, but there's certainly more than one person's hands at work in a lot of this stuff. But I don't really even know what else to say. It's a captivating piece of art. It is rewarding to dive into. There's an associated, Substack link where Lua gets into the connection between the music and what the project is trying to do, and Afro-Indigenous spirituality, and the connection of music and religion historically, and the possible, consequences of that, and subversion of it in this modern stuff. And it's a typically with heavy music, if you're going to go with philosophical themes, you're going to get into nihilism, you're going to get into apocalyptic, like end of civilization kind of stuff. This project is distinct because it is presenting a sort of hopeful and positive vision for the future of humanity, which is extremely uncommon to hear in a heavy, intense, avant-garde experimental album. Um, and I loved it from the moment I heard it, and it is unlike anything else. It's even unlike those other Brazilian projects that I mentioned earlier. It has its own flavor to it. And I just really think everybody needs to hear this.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. If you go to the Bandcamp's page for each track of the album, um, you can't do that by clicking the lyrics stuff, but you can usually do that if it's an instrumental track. It's gonna say info. You click on that and you sometimes have more info, but for that project, I don't know if you did that, but there is some information added for each of the tracks.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna read a little bit of the first track. So it's Avamunga. is a rhythm played on the atabaque drums in candomblé temples to gather and disperse the initiates, marking the beginning of the, I don't know how to say that, shire ritual, and greeting the arrival of the orishas, or deities. In the candomblé tradition, whenever the orishas are present, Eshu must be fed first. Laroye is a greeting for him. Eshu is the orisha of the communication and language. He acts as a messenger between human beings and divinities. So each of the tracks, uh, I believe, has more information on them, which is very cool to have more context on that. I'm gonna say I didn't listen to the album while having this information, but reading it afterwards was pretty cool. And there's even some tracks that are based off of traditional songs from, I would guess, native tribes or something like that. So we're talking about Ayaba Oksum. It contains a chant from the Candomblé tradition to Oksum. So that's just a little tidbit there. So when listening to the album, I feel it's kind of like you said, atmospheric black metal, but it has a big emphasis on, I would say, field recordings, and I don't know which way the work has been done. You know, I don't know if they made the song and then added field recordings, or if they took field recordings and then built the song around it. Because I think it's the first track or maybe the second one, but there's that
That's
bird
right. It's the
singing,
second track, yeah.
and it's exactly on time every time. So I'm just wondering, okay, did they take the field recording and then the bird sang and they built the song around it, or was it the other way around? Maybe they chopped a little bit of the bird song to fit neatly onto
It,
the
it's
pattern.
it's the same thing every time, so it's got to be a sampled piece of bird song that is just put on the beat.
Probably, but the opposite would be really, really cool.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but that's how I feel. You mentioned like being in the rainforest or being like one with nature, and maybe like what I envision is like you go to the in the rainforest and you stumble upon a bunch of huts, and they play that, you know, they play that album on live instruments. So you're just walking in the forest, and all of a sudden you hear that weird black metal stuff, and you hear all the sounds around it from the forest. So it's I don't know. It's a really cool artistic choice to, because I feel like some of the music is a bit obfuscated because of that nature sound and all of that, but it really adds to the experience. So I feel it's a cool and you know, a genuine artistic choice to have done that. You know, maybe hide some of your own compositions behind this layer of ambient noise, you know, noises of the forest. So I feel that's really cool. And the whole album, it's less preeminent on the rest of the album, but the second track, as you said, it's very much in your face. You're in the forest with the birds and all of that. But all throughout the album, you hear the forest sounds, and it's really cool. And you know, the album, I feel it's, you know, it's not long enough. You know, you hear it and you listen to it in full, and you're like, man, I want more. I want more of that. So this is, I believe, the second part of their trilogy. Yeah, trilogy of albums inspired by the work of Elton Krenak. I don't know, but yeah, but can't wait to hear the third one.
I also felt like, yeah, it's incredibly dense, but I feel like sometimes dense can be used to describe music that's like really dark or suffocating. And maybe sometimes icy. We'll get into that later. That's a different rabbit hole. But yeah, it doesn't feel suffocating. There's a ton of nature sounds. I also, on first listen, knew nothing about it. Like I just made a playlist with all the albums in it. And that was the first one that I listened to. And I didn't even like listen to it thinking that it was black metal. And when I
Yeah.
looked it up and realized that one, this is a single person, and two, this lives like in the same realm as other experimental black metal albums, I was like, I didn't even get that uh, impression at first because the vocals kind of reminded me of like post-hardcore. It made me think of what is that one band called? It's one of the Will Swan bands where Will Swan is the guitarist, not Dance Gavin Dance, one of the other ones. But it's super emotional.
Amorosa.
No, uh, I'll figure it out at some point and say it. But yeah, there are tons of nature sounds. Birds are singing. The album cover, like y'all have said, it's a reinterpretation of a painting from Colombian artist Noe Leon called Missionary Being Eaten by Jaguar from 1907. One of the things that it immediately made me think of was this random album I listened to in 2014 called New Throned King by Yasvani Terry, who is a Cuban horn player. But there's specifically a song called Ojan de Gata. It's just got a lot of really cool, intricate rhythms happening. And that album has a lot of like chants. Like it kind of feels, I don't want to say drum circle, but it feels like there's a chant going on. And then the song just kind of ebbs and flows from that chant. The music is super emotional, especially when you read the liner notes. So I noticed this yesterday. At first, like, okay, I'm looking at the Bandcamp. You read the description, and it's like, okay, well, I want to know what is being said here because it says it has lyrics in Portuguese, Tupi, and Yoruba. And so Tupi is like indigenous people in Brazil. So it's an ancient language. Okay, so we've already got ancient language. I'm like, all right, well, what are they saying in this ancient language? I'm trying to look it up with Google Translate. I'm like, dude, I feel like a piece of shit, like colonizer right now. I'm trying to use like AI to learn what these like ancient languages are saying. It's fucking doing a horrible job. And then I went back and realized it says download the album for lyric sheet with translations to English and additional notes. And the album is pay what you want. So I bought it. And I felt like an asshole for being like just so, my attention span's so bad. I'm like, oh, what does this say? And I try and look it up and it's bad. And then it takes me, I lose an hour. I'm like, dude, you had access to all of it and more the entire time. So I downloaded it. I did paid for it. And it comes with an English translation of all the songs with a ton of notes. And it's just, so, okay, this song, the seventh song, Zaynama, the entire like first half of the song is a conversation between Lua and her grandmother. So it's like an interview where she was just interviewing her grandmother. And it's a lot to get into. You should definitely just buy the album and read this because I also kind of struggle to write notes about it because there's so much I want to learn and like so much history that is involved with the making of this that the album is really kind of like a telling of Lua's genealogy almost. It's like an insight into her family, an insight into Tupi culture and how industry has, reshaped like Brazil. Uh, there's a lot of heavy topics that are covered, and because of that, it only makes it like more beautiful that the album is super happy. It's if it kind of defiantly joyous, and we
Hmm.
see that a lot in like black metal now, where
Yeah,
agriculture,
aggressively happy.
it's for so long it was cool to be sad in black
Hmm.
metal. It was cool to hate people and to be hated. But now it's like transgressive to just be happy. And I love that. It's awesome. Agriculture's last album is like that. It's super happy. So this was crazy. There was like no preparation, nothing prepared me for this. I didn't expect that at all. And I really loved it. It's awesome. Super good. Genius person right here. One person, dude,
Yeah, that's incredible.
come
Yeah.
on. Amazing.
Yeah, I also enjoyed this album. Very unique. All the chanting and the nature sounds and everything. I found myself after listening to it, the chants from Ayaba Aksum are stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just like a very repetitive, very catchy chant, and it's like just keeps coming back in my head. But overall, very, very good album. Not much to say that already hasn't been said, but yeah, all the lyrics I didn't really look into until Bishop sent the um, lyric notes right before we started here. So I didn't really get a chance to look into those deeply, but definitely go back and read some of that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Something that I didn't pick up on until like Bishop was talking about it, and like we've talked a lot about different kinds of music, different kinds of metal that will incorporate other genres. Like here's metal and jazz, and all you did is took a saxophone and put it on a metal
Yeah.
album. Here's metal and bluegrass, and all you did was take a banjo and put it on a metal album. This music is not black metal that incorporates this Brazilian indigenous folk. It is
Mm,
centered on the folk, and the black
Hmm.
metal
yeah.
is brought into that. And
Yeah.
it's sort of anti-colonialist musically in that way because it's not metal colonizing and bastardizing
Yeah.
this other types of music. It's bringing metal as a tool into the existing palette of the indigenous rooted traditions. And that's amazing.
Yeah, and we talked about it. We mentioned it was like a metal album, but I don't even feel like it's a metal album.
Yeah, it
It's
has metal,
it's
but it isn't
yeah,
fundamentally a
it
metal album.
has the grain of metal maybe,
Yeah,
like in the sound, but I don't know. It's I don't know how I would categorize it other than maybe experimental rock or folk or something like that.
just slap avant-garde on it, covers everything.
Avant-garde.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ways to split hairs about like genre and
Yeah.
subgenre. And I mean, that is what we do pretty much every single time. It's fun
Yeah.
to do that. But like, okay, if screaming with some reverb or delay on it, if that is the one thing that this Antropoceno album has that makes it black metal, then okay. Like
Yeah.
that's the one thing where I can see people saying that, but aesthetically, thematically, it just didn't make me think that at
Hmm.
first.
Yeah,
Uh,
classification and genre taxonomy is in some ways a colonialist mindset project. And so an album that defies that and resists that and says, no, you can't put me in a box with a genre tag or two is, perfectly thematic to what this album's trying to do.
exactly. Talking about colonizers, I did my best to try to learn how to say the name of the band and the name of the album. So I practice a little bit, so I'm gonna try it. But I would say that's Antropoceno, uh, no Ritmo da Terra. So feel free to tell me in the comments uh, how I failed.
Better than me.
Yeah,
I
I'm sure
usually
that's
do
better
this
than what I
too.
did.
I feel like
Yeah.
every episode there's some album name or a song name where like the podcast is going and I have myself muted and I'm listening to pronunciations of it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna say it. I know how to say it, and then I just butcher it like in real time. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So you've got that French Quebecois tongue. So you're our like in-house
Yeah.
pronunciation expert.
No,
It's
don't
all
say
on,
that.
dude. It's all on you, dude. So you
Don't
do have
say
to
that.
practice. You are that more than me, at least more than me.
Well, I'm trying to give proper respect, do
I
my best.
Yeah,
But it's not easy.
it's not. It's not. Yeah, final thing there is people really should buy it and look at the lyric and translations thing
Mhm.
because so the track, yeah, track number 7, like I was saying, it includes audio of an interview that Lua did with her grandmother. And at the end of the notes for that one, it says, this song is an homage to my great grandfather, an indigenous man whose family history was erased, and his daughter, my beloved grandmother. Sheanama is a traditional song of the Tupinamba people. And there's a lot here that if I try and pronounce it, I'm going to do so bad. But the point is that in both languages, the expression means my relative or my family member. And then there's a link to a YouTube video of like old Amazonian or Tupinamba music. And the first song is Shenama. And so I listened to some of that and dude, it's awesome. So people really should check it out. There's like a lot of cool stuff, a history lesson to be learned from this.
That's so cool.
I think so too.
All right. I think I'm up next with The Forgotten Child, once again written. And Matt brought this album in the chat, and uh, I hadn't really picked anything at the time when he shared this album, so I listened to it and really enjoyed it. It's classic prog metal sound, reminiscent of early Dream Theater, and that's what drew me in. But it goes way beyond that. It's not just that's not just the only influence, although that's probably one of the most obvious. But it does take from a lot of different metal, and it's like a very ambitious album that was composed between the ages of 14 and 16, which is very impressive for how complex it is. And the production may be a little rough, but I feel like that kind of adds to the kind of style of it, the nostalgia factor that brings me back to like the early Dream Theater when I first discovered them as a teenager, first got into prog and metal. It was like that classic prog metal sound from like early 90s. Just it kind of felt that way to me. And um, the artist on their website kind of explained the theme of the album is kind of using it as a way to express themselves about everything that was wrong in their life, and that is very deep and personal. And I thought that was really cool um, how much of themselves they put into the album, writing it when they were so young. And I thought it was a really great album overall.
All right.
I have a good bit of notes. Who wants to go next?
I can go first because I don't have much to say. Uh, and I don't think it's a lot of good things to say. So hopefully you two guys after me can, maybe leave on
Oh,
a
I
better
got you.
note. All right, good. So well, I think Matt shared that album with us for the first time. So I discovered that album through Matt, and yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm sorry about that. Not a fan. So I'm usually a big fan of prog metal, but there's a few things that kind of irk me most is when I listen to an album and I hear the riff they took from another band or album. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is maybe not copy pasted, but highly influenced by one riff and one riff only. So
And I know exactly what you're talking about.
I've got a few
Yeah.
written down here. So in Ceaseless Resonance at 2:19, it's the opening riff from A Nightmare to Remember by Dream Theater. At 1:44 in that song, actually, it's the same riff with a bit of note changed near
Hang
the end
on.
of the riff, so it's
What
a
song?
bit different.
What song was that?
Which band?
Or so what song has the Dream Theater riff in it?
It's Ceaseless Resonance.
It's right at
Ceaseless.
the beginning of the album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Ceaseless Renounce. Okay.
a renounce. Okay, sorry,
Gotcha.
I, I write badly.
No, that's okay. Um,
Ceaseless Renounce at 2:19. Yeah. So
okay.
it's the same hits. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's the Dream Theater riff, and again in Fight Against His Breath, Its Breath, there's a very I think it's Peruvian Skies influenced vocal line in there. It's not as obvious as the riff, but then at 3:44, 3:43, there's a very much heavily influenced riff from In the Name of God by Dream Theater once again.
Yeah.
And finally, in Last Thoughts, the ending is pretty much similar to the ending of, I think it was The Spirit Carries On by Dream Theater. Yeah, very similar. But it's not to say that the whole album is being copied or copied from Dream Theater. Obviously, it's just like those little moments that kind of irk me a lot. I'm like, when I hear a new album, a new band, or whatever, I don't want to hear other riffs that have already existed, and especially so from a so well-known band. It's kind of you can wear your influences on your sleeve, but that's like having a tattoo of Dream Theater on your forehead. It's not, yeah. Well, anyway, other than that, I think the production wasn't great. I'm comprehensive. I know. I tried to be a little bit flexible or sensible to the fact that it's a solo artist. He's doing that on his own, probably in his basement or whatever, with whatever he can. I'm open to that, but it's just like I feel this feels more like of a demo than a totally finished product. Like the drums, when at this point I've heard the same samples for the cymbals or snare or whatever so many times that it kind of grates a little bit on the on the mind. And but I get the I get the use of virtual instruments, especially drums, because they cost a lot to record, and also you need a drummer and you need a drum kit and you need many things. But I feel like so much there's still so much things you can do with a drum software that to make it sound, different than the default package or the default samples. One example of this is I remember the first Periphery album they used. I think it was Superior Drummer, but they recorded their own samples for the drum. So that's a bit more work, I get, but still, it cuts the cost to make the album and all of that. But even if you don't want to go that far, you can use the software, and there's so much things you can change for each hit. The usual open hi-hat, the 46 on Guitar Pro or MIDI. It's the same. I don't know. It's the same. It's open. I'm bad at explaining what I mean right now, but you know how the hi-hat is just a little bit open, and you get that sound, but you have loads more hits. In Superior Drummer, for example, you can choose pretty much at what height
Yeah.
your hi-hat is open. So, just that it changes the sound. It's a bit fresher, a bit more new to the ear, and all of that. So that's just an example, but there's so much presets you can work with drum softwares, and yeah, well, that's pretty much it for me.
I have to go next. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have to go next. So this is really weird. Uh, so I listened to this album for the first time yesterday. It was very slow at work, so I had time to write about it. And at work, like there's not really good Wi-Fi, and even the Wi-Fi that you can use, it's like a ton of stuff is blocked. So I had my laptop writing notes, but I was listening to it on my phone. On my phone, every single song says that it has a lyrical fragment from a different song, and it has a little like picture, like track artwork, and those things do not show up on Bandcamp on the computer. So when you said that Ceaseless Renounce is taking like clear inspiration from Dream Theater, the child literally says lyrical fragment from Caught in a Web by Dream Theater. And then the second track says lyrical fragment from Ticks and Leeches by Tool. And every single song says that. So that in mind, I ended up actually kind of liking the, or at least not being mad at it. And I'll get to that, but it is strange that that information doesn't show up on the Bandcamp. I don't know why that is, and maybe that wouldn't have changed your opinion of it. But so yeah, I listened to this for the first time yesterday. I say it every single podcast. Not a prog head. We all
Wait,
know
wait,
it.
wait. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say you can reach the track information, but you need to enter it manually in the URL bar at the top. You
Yeah, it
need
is on
to,
Bandcamp on PC as well. Yeah.
yeah, you need
You just have to
to,
click on the song.
well, you click on the song and it's, oh yeah, you can do that. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
click on
Okay.
the song.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, just that.
Um. All right. I see. Yeah. Lyrical fragment from Caught in a Web by Dream
Hmm.
Theater. Gotcha. So when you were listening, were you aware of that
I
theme?
wasn't. No.
Okay. Okay. Again, like I said, I mean, whether that changes your opinion of it or not, I think the fact that whoever this is, he's remaining anonymous, the child, by saying that you are doing it, I think that makes it less annoying or less of an offense, because
Well,
there are plenty of like ripped riffs or ripped
mhm.
melodies or whatever, uh, very nearly plagiarized lyrics from artists who are much more popular with no credit given. And
Yeah.
to give credit is, that just feels more, I mean, that's honest. It's like kind of
Yeah, but
transparent.
I mean, the weird thing is, he's naming Caught in a Web by Dream Theater, but the riff comes from another song from Dream Theater.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah,
that's, I don't know where Caught in a Webs comes from. Maybe there's another riff in there that I didn't catch or something like that.
well, it's a
Well, it says the
lyrical thing.
lyrics are
It's
pulled from Cotton
lyrics.
Web. It doesn't mention riffs at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, all to be fair, all the songs that are like a lyrical fragment was taken from,
Hmm.
they're pretty much all prog songs that I just don't know. Like I would not have picked up on any of it.
Oh, and
Um,
the lyrics that were the fragment is quoted at the top, echoes that deafen the mind will bury the voice in their wake. That's from Caught in the Web. Caught in
And
the
I,
Web.
I don't think that's actually even in the song. I think it's just like a quote from another song at the top to kind of set a theme. But then all the lyrics of the project are the
Right.
Forgotten
Yeah,
Child
because I
theme.
don't remember hearing that actually in the song.
Mm.
yeah. So yeah, there kind of is a lot of stuff going on. Like a lot of things are kind of put into this album that sometimes bands will do just one of them. Like maybe there's an instrumental album, but then you look at the Bandcamp and there are words like lyrics or something for each track, but they're not in the song. That's kind of maybe similar to just having a, I don't know, like okay, right now I'm watching The Wire, and before every episode there's a quote before every single episode. Uh in that case it's included in the actual episode. But anyway, I'm just going to read off my notes here. Like like you were saying, Dave, you want to be sensitive to every
Hmm.
album. The way that I phrased this was I think it's important to level with albums because context sculpts the way that we feel about them. The Neocities, there's a Neocities website link on the Bandcamp that says the songs were composed when the child was between the ages of 14 to 16. I messaged Matt about this because that, okay, if that's really true, that's actually fucking crazy. Because when I was like 14 and 16, I was smoking weed and playing Final Fantasy 10. I wasn't doing any of this. And now I play guitar all the time, and there's still like riffs in here that I don't think I could play at my level, honestly. And even without the impressive backstory, the songs are still super involved compositions just in
Hmm.
general. Like 10-minute songs, isn't there a 20-minute song? Bro, I ain't ever writing a 20-minute song. It's just going to be 6 songs, and I was like I'm going to figure out a way to make these come together. But I know you, Dave, I know you, Matt, like I'm sure all of us, if you are a bedroom musician making everything yourself, you know what it is like to like sit at the computer. You're clicking half the time, playing guitar the other half. It's like a shit ton of work
Hmm.
to actually, write music with at the computer with guitar in hand. You do it yourself, and then you ultimately release it to like no one. Maybe
Yeah.
50 people will hear it. So it's inherently like the payment is just a personal, private sense of accomplishment. That's it. Um, so I'm really impressed by that. It's so much work. Lyrics, okay, the lyrics are not my style. That is true. But it sounds like English is maybe not the child's first language, or at least they speak multiple languages. Because there's a very like clear accent during all the singing. Yeah, every song contains a lyrical fragment from a different band, I'm assuming, that inspired this person. And my knee-jerk reaction also is to think like, I hate that. Why would you do that? But at the same time, I've never seen someone take lines from other bands' songs and not only clearly credit those bands, but sort of turn that inspiration into a theme that spans the entire album. Because the child is our narrator, who, according to the site, wrote a lot of this when they were literally a child. So I'm assuming that the lyrical fragments come from songs that inspired them while they wrote the album. Potentially, these are the songs that got the child through whatever was happening during this time in his life. And for those reasons, it's kind of hard to be mad about it. I don't listen to many bands writing 20-minute songs, but I felt pretty consistently engaged, which can be a challenge if I start to get bored, regardless of who I'm listening to. I also actually didn't think that the mix was very bad. I listen to a lot of music that sounds like shit. My threshold for that is very high. So yeah, I really didn't think it sounded bad, like not at all. I
It
agree
sounds
that
pretty good. Yeah.
I agree that some more attention could have been paid to like MIDI velocity on some cymbals sometimes. That's true. That's true. But dude, so crazy. Vocals kind of reminded me of Rhodey from Protest the Hero sometimes. That's insane. Some vocal takes are more confident than others. That's definitely true. I was occasionally reminded of Haken. Vocals during the heavier breakdownish riffs, that's like 100% Between the Buried and Me vocal. Okay. The harsh vocals in Between the Buried and Me, at least their first several albums, that is my least favorite harsh vocal, but that's a different of all time. Let me be clear.
It's because of the oi sound, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We've talked about it. In
I think we made a
regards,
short of that once.
Yeah.
dude. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a rabbit hole. But in regard to the album's concept, lyrics are clearly super personal and I'm assuming semi-autobiographical.
Very.
But at this, yeah, like it's about this person's life. But at the same time, the lyrics are indirect, which I completely understand. I mean, a lot of my lyrics are like that too. I mean, I'm writing about my life or my experience of something, but I'm not gonna name people. That would be crazy. So my take was that the lyrics kind of mythologize, maybe there's a better word for that, the child's coming of age, the pains of growing up. For most people, you don't have much control over your life as a teenager. And then once you're an adult, you realize how bittersweet that control really is. When you control your own life and determine your own values and your own identity, that freedom inherently comes coupled with responsibility. Those are the conditions of the deal. At least that is how I interpreted what the album is about. Because yeah, sometimes the lyrics are a little like anime protagonist versus antagonist, but like again, leveling with it is a kid. It's a kid, and I was incredibly impressed by this. Like, if that claim is true, that it was composed between 14 and 16, in my mind, as someone who plays guitar a lot now, but I don't think that I'm very good. That's like prodigy level thinking through a composition and arranging things, or at least very advanced for this person's age. So I bought the album because it had no supporters on Bandcamp. Like, that sucks.
So that's you. That's the only one there.
That's me.
Hell yeah.
If you, dude, how long is the album? Like,
It's
probably an
pretty
hour.
long.
Someone can't throw this person $20. Are you fucking serious? $20? Like, what years of time? 14 to 16? Three years of time. How much an hour is getting $20?
It's
Like,
over an hour and a half.
okay, yeah, it is long. Especially in the second half. Let me see the track titles again. Let me go back here. Once we get into Old Memories Part 2, it does start to feel a little bit like it was kind of piecemeal, or like it got kind of challenging to create a cohesive progression from song to song. because that's kind of what I was getting at before by like sitting at the computer, you can write riffs all day forever, but turning it into a song that feels like the musical decisions were purposeful, and it's not just kind of like a riff fest where the arrangement nearly doesn't even matter. There's a ton of like metalcore bands like that where
Mm-hmm.
why was this the intro riff and not riff 11? It feels like it doesn't matter, like there's no consequence to the order of the song. But I didn't feel that way about this. And yeah, I really can't be mad at the lyrical thing because it felt like the inspiration, or I don't want to say plagiarism, because I feel like the thing about plagiarism is you do not give credit, you know? So I wouldn't call it that, but it seemed very transparent to me. It seemed very sincere to me. And am I gonna try and listen to The Last Thoughts of a Human Perception and Fear like in my car in the next month, 20 minutes, 13 seconds? No, I'm not gonna do that. But I'm amazed that this person did it. So you have my stamp. I hope this person keeps making music because I'm very impressed by it.
All
Those are
right.
my thoughts.
Wow. Okay. I have a lot to get to with this in response. It's interesting for me to go last as the person who kind of introduced this to y'all. Um,
You're responsible for this.
I am, and I will defend it. I mean, your criticisms are valid, Dave, and I'm not going to diminish that. But I think Bishop hit a lot of like sort of the counterpoint to that side. Um, so I met this individual behind the Forgotten Child through Reddit because they were a fan of Patmos Atoimos, my stuff, and reached out and contacted me with some private messages, and then we started chatting on Discord. We've been talking pretty regularly about the music each of us has been working on. So I heard about this project being in the works for a while and saw how much energy and passion was being poured into it. And then when it finally released, I didn't hear it early, or anything. I heard like some snippets, but it was mostly everything that he'd been putting out publicly. So then the album comes out and I listen to it. I'm like, okay. The first reaction, the mix takes a minute to get your ears acclimated to. I think
Mhm.
they do. I think by the time you get to the end of the first track, which is 9 minutes long or something like that, your ears are kind of primed to what's going on. It's maybe not the most powerful, tightest mix that you would want it to be, but it's well balanced. And I think that's important for helping you to accept a slightly subpar overall mix quality. Is like it's not like, oh my goodness, the guitars are overpowering the drums, or like the vocals are sitting really high or anything like that. Like it works for what it is. It does the job for, again, the limited resources available to you and the difficulty, as I very personally know, of getting a good mix from any components. So, to be able to take this youthfully written music and produce something that is even this good is a monumental achievement. And I do think that, he will probably continue making more stuff with this and other projects, and you'll hear the quality improve over time as he learns more about mixing or possibly gets more money to bring people in and help with the mixing or stuff like that. But I'm incredibly sympathetic to anybody trying to pour out their heart into music with, what's available to them to use and to do.
Same,
It's
same.
I think it's good enough. It's not a mix I'm going to complain about. I didn't clock. I caught the Dream Theater heavy influence for sure. I didn't clock specific riffs or parts as being like, oh, that's that. Um, but it does tie into like the acknowledgement of influence that comes in each song. Like if you want to know what this band sounds like, before you even click play, you click on each song title, you see Dream Theater, Tool, Between the Buried and Me, and then a little bit of like some more classic stuff. Like Wasp is one of the song's quotes, and Queensryche is one of the song's quotes.
Mhm.
So once you see all of the things that are quoted from, if you just imagine putting all those in a blender, there's the Forgotten Child. Like it's very clear what the musical inspirations behind this project were. And when you're writing songs at 14 years old,
Mhm.
you're still finding your voice as a songwriter. And before you do that, very often you're sitting there at your computer picking out a Dream Theater song, picking out a Tool song and learning that riff. And so for that to bleed over into like, here's a riff I wrote, and then 5 years later you look back and go, no, actually, I just stole that from Dream Theater. I didn't mean to, but there it was. That's what I was playing at the time, and it popped out in one of my songs. But that being said, as you said, Dave, this album is over 90 minutes of music, and you called out three parts as being Dream Theater ripoffs.
Yeah.
There's a ton of creative, original stuff in here.
Yeah.
So I'll forgive a couple of, tip of the cap homages to a Dream Theater riff. You might not want to hear that as like one of the first 3 or 4 riffs you hear on the album, and you're immediately
That's
like,
the
oh no, this
thing.
is Dream Theater.
Yeah.
But keep going. I mean, this album covers a ton of ground. It gets a little heavier. One thing I didn't quite realize the first time when I was listening to it, I'm like, expect you sometimes what you're thinking an album is gonna be, and you can only hear it in light of that at first. So like I knew there was Dream Theater influence, I knew there was Between the Buried and Me, and I heard that. But the second time I listened through it, the combination of like some of the guitar work and the way the vocals are done. The vocals are sort of not quite a scream, not quite a sing a lot of the time, a little bit of a yell. It's really rooted in the stuff that the kids these days call trad metal, which is bands like I think Traveler and Haunt and a handful of other ones that I never really listened to. And part of the reason I never listened to is trad metal bands very rarely want to do prog. I mean, sort of what trad metal is kind of like really old school prog that isn't prog. It's just you take the sound of it and just boil it
Sounds
down to more
horrible.
straightforward rock
Mm-hmm.
riffs or heavy metal, like classic heavy metal kind of stuff. And there's more of that in this project than I realized, but it's prog. It's trad metal blown out and stretched out into this bigger, more complicated thing. And I think that audience probably is completely unaware of this album, and I think they'd be really into it. I think there's a lot of people who could really get into this album if they knew it existed, which, as Bishop pointed out, nobody does. Like I know he tried
Yeah.
to promote this album on Reddit a little bit and on
It's
other
hard.
places, but when you're, a 20-year-old putting out the music you wrote in your teenagers with maybe not the best production quality, maybe not the best like PR team behind it, it's very hard to get traction.
Yeah.
And that's
It's hard.
why like I had no influence on Jeff picking this album. And when Jeff was like, yeah, this is the one I'm going with, I was like, that's awesome. Because I know we don't have the biggest reach, but somebody will hear about this album because we covered it. And that's great because there's an audience for this album. And I really hope it reaches it because, the Forgotten
It's
Child.
also like you were saying, like it's already super hard to find an audience of any sort. Like
Yeah.
having anyone give even a fraction of a fuck to just click on something is already super hard.
Yeah.
The 90-minute runtime does not I know for me, I was like, how long is this again? 90 minutes. I was like, dude, I don't want to listen to anything for 90 minutes. But I was surprised. So yeah, the runtime also kind of it's daunting.
It's as much as I'm talking about the trad
But
metal
for a
part,
prog fan,
it's by and for prog fans.
Yeah.
Like it's very clear where this guy's coming from and what he's putting out. And it's, prog can be a dime a dozen these days, and there's a lot of projects not worth your time. I don't think this is one of them. I think this is very worth checking out. Whether you end up liking it or not, I think you're going to be surprised by it. I couldn't help but see, Patmos Hatoimos started when I was 20 years old. And I see a lot of myself in this young man who's working on this kind of stuff. And you were talking earlier about the quoting of either lyrical themes or musical themes from other bands. I literally did this in the Patmos Hatoimos song Wayward Stars, which is the 55-minute long album closer to my 3-hour album, The Paragon Trisagion. In part 4 of 9 of that song, the protagonist is going through this kind of dream sequence, and it's a 3-part part 4. And there are direct musical and lyrical quotes to Money by Pink Floyd, Watcher of the Skies by Genesis, and Heart of the Sunrise by Yes. Just deliberately. It's not like total ripoff, but it's very clear homage. Like I'm not trying to hide it. It's all in there, and each one kind of represents a theme going on in the story, and then we move on back into my music. But like to see another young like protege almost of mine doing that same kind of thing and like pulling in these influences more or less directly, I'm like, I get it. I've been there. It's great. I don't
It
mind it.
also it also says on their main Bandcamp page, it is through imitation that the child learns,
There you
and that
go.
I think directly connects to
And
that.
and that brings me to addressing sort of the theme of the album. You get when you're just finding your voice as a musician and as an artist in general in your teenage years, you're presenting a rawness that will never be accessible later in your life. Like there is an energy and an honesty and an authenticity to this album that, however many albums this project ends up releasing and however better the mixes are and the riffs, however more unique the riffs are, this is capturing a critical, fundamental fulcrum moment in this person's life, and to be able to get a lens on that and to have it presented not just authentically, but so creatively. Like this is taking the trauma of your life and genuinely making art out of it. And it's so cool. And it's so cool to have like an album with a NeoCities page or whatever it is that allows you behind the scenes. The first couple Patmos Atoimos albums, there are lyrical notes on an Angel Fire website that I posted in 2006. So again, I'm right there on board with this. Um, there's the trad metal, there's the prog metal, but then in the song Time Ago, there's all of a sudden a Baroque riff, and the whole like second half of that song is this kind of Bach like Baroque part. And I'm like, well, that came out of nowhere, but it fits. It's fluid with the material. There, it really does a good job balancing sort of the clean atmospheric stuff with heavy trad metal, speed metal, prog metal riffs. Um, the Between the Buried and Me sort of heavier metal core-ish, or not really core, but the prog metal, modern prog metal sound kind of creeps more into the album later on, and then it subsides back down into some classical prog stuff. The 20-minute song toward the end of the album, the quote, the musical quote or lyrical quote that's appended at the top of that is from Supper's Ready by Genesis, which is one of the original side length epic
Hmm.
pieces. It's 23 minutes long and is in fact my favorite song of all time. And the end of that song, whether or not it's directly calling back to The Spirit Carries On, it's well done. It's a cool chord progression. It really matters to me that a band as ambitious, if you're going to be a prog band, if you're going to put out a 90-minute album, you better know how to end the album. And I do think this album sticks the landing because that last 3 minutes of that 20-minute song is has its own feel, has a cool melody and chord progression, has a sick guitar riff that soars over the top of it toward the end. Um, and I'm like, yep, you did it. And one of my favorite my album of the year 2018 was Red Tail by Azure. Not a very well produced 20 minutes of
Hmm.
music, but you can look behind that and see like there is so much creativity here, and the
Yeah.
uniqueness of it, the melodies of it. I know this is going to go somewhere, and then a few years later they put out Thim, and it's the
Film.
best thing you've ever heard in your life.
So
So like
good.
this is kind of like that for me. It's like I can look past the limitations of the production and I can see the creativity, I can see the uniqueness of it, the personality of it, and I really hope that more people will check this out and give it a shot.
Yeah, but you know what Azure did between Red Tail and Fim? They fucking worked.
Yeah.
They got a real drum because that was one of my complaints with Red Tail. Once again, the
But it's once
yeah,
again like the
artificial
the
drum.
finding an audience and the working within your limitations. Red Tail was, I believe, two guys
Yeah,
in their bedroom or in their office working on this album, and then okay, you get that out, and then you get more people involved, and you get more budget, and you get
yeah,
better production, and you change everything.
yeah. But they worked their asses off, and I would say they spent a lot of more money too for
Yeah.
film. Probably it broke their bank account or something. But that's just what you've got to do. If you want to make art, and
What
sometimes no, wait.
is this a real answer right now?
No,
I'm
no, no,
hearing
no,
Dave
no.
promoting capitalism. That's
I
what
was
I'm hearing.
gonna say, like, I did not experience this. I love my dad, but like you sound like a cliche like
Yeah, I
Republican
know.
dad. Like, if you want to make something that anyone gives a fuck about, you better just not enjoy your life for a long time. That's what you have to do. Like, dude, okay, so where you live, like, how easy would it be to find a drummer? You know,
Not easy.
dude, it's not easy.
I know.
It's hard even if you do have something that's really sick.
Yeah.
So like sometimes just conditions are different everywhere. So like working your ass off, sometimes certain cities or even countries don't know where this person is from. Like it's hard to find someone who is not only good at an instrument, but has time to work with you,
Hmm.
isn't a horrible person to work with or just incompatible. And they're also like-minded. Like it's so many factors. And yeah, it can be super hard, you know? So I sympathize with it. Yeah, you are right. You have to work. To me, the album is represent that reflects the work, you know? That's my take. So nobody listened to the last thing Dave said. That was a crazy take.
No, I mean, Dave's right in terms of what Azure did and in terms of how it worked for them, but I don't think that is prescriptive to how
Yeah,
bands need to operate.
you don't have to spend, but you have to work. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
And
And
if you can't spend and do that kind of that kind of music, I feel that prog metal is an expensive kind of music. You know, you can make art, you can make whatever kind of music you like, but with a little budget. But doing prog especially is a bit harder, maybe.
Which is a shame. Like
Yeah,
you're not wrong, but you want it to be accessible, especially to
yeah.
somebody who has the kind of ideas and
Hmm.
talent that this person has. Like I would love if, let's crowdfund getting him in the studio to make like the version of this album that should have existed, but that's never going to
yeah,
happen. So in the
Yeah.
meantime, we have what does exist and, we're lucky to have it.
Maybe for album two, though.
Maybe. Let's hope. All right, Dave, what did you like from this quarter?
Well, I liked many things, but I ended up picking Miserere Luminis. It's basically a super group of atmospheric slash progressive black metal from Quebec, from Montreal, I think, Montreal, Quebec. And it's from two dudes. Well, it's from three dudes, but two of them were playing in Gris, which is another
Love Gris.
legendary atmospheric black metal band from Quebec. And the other project involved was Sombre Forêt, which I know less, but I still, it's still a pretty good black metal band. And the three of them merged together to create Miserere Luminis. And at this point, they've got three albums out. So the first one came out in 2009, then Ordali in 2023, and Sidera in, well, March of this year. So at first, I, I didn't notice it, but the cover art, and Jeff, you need to show that. Well, when editing,
It'll be on
editor
the TV.
Jeff, yeah, it'll be on the big screen. But the cover art is a copy of a scene from The Fountain, the movie The Fountain, which is basically my favorite movie of all time, and Matt's too, as I believe.
Yes, indeed.
It's a real, a chef-d'œuvre, like we say, masterpiece. And yeah, so I didn't notice it at first, but when I was listening to, oh man, I don't remember which track, but I talked about it on our Discord. So I'm just gonna do a little quick search. It's yeah, it's on the opening track. It's 4 minutes 40 in. It's the theme from The Fountain. The I listened to the soundtrack multiple times. It's so good. So that's why I instantly recognized it.
Did they credit the fountain on their album that it contains the
I
theme?
don't think so. I think that's a ripoff. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
exactly.
Wow,
Wow,
imagine
dude.
ripping off another song and putting it in your own song. I can't believe anyone
Wow.
would do that.
Shame. Anyway, so when I heard that theme in the song, I'm like, okay, that's where I saw that scene from the album art. So I quickly looked at the movie scenes, images on Google, and there's that scene in the movie where he's in the stars or whatever, and he's just like ascending to Xibalba, really, or anyway, something like that. And yeah, so there's a big connection with that movie. I don't know. I tried to find other connections through the lyrics, but I came up short. So I don't know how big of a role the movie played on that album, but it's kind of weird that they've got two direct references to that movie, and one of them is the album cover. So I don't know, maybe there's more to dig into there, but uh, anyway, uh, the album is 5 songs ranging from about 8 minutes something to 12 over 12 minutes. It's very atmospheric. It's kind of symphonic too, a lot of orchestration, and it's man, I'm even in the I've got a lack of words. It's so good. It's just it's an album that really fills me. I don't know how to, I like the words, but man, it's such a great album, such a fantastic work, and I'm glad you listened to it, and yeah, I want to hear what you guys thought about it.
I have to go last.
Let's go.
I have to go last.
Okay, I'll go. This is right up my alley. I
Okay.
was a massive fan of Gree's last album, Alam Inflammé,
Hmm.
Alam Constellé, which, yeah, that's definitely not how that's pronounced. But um, what I always found with the Quebecois metal noir bands, most of them, is their metal is great and their non-metal atmospheric sections are pristine. They're so good. And that, especially true of Gree,
Hmm.
remains true here on Miserere Luminis, that this album, when it's doing metal, I think what makes this project distinct from some of the others, it's very like melodic black metal informed. Not, I wouldn't say blackened death or melodeath, but there's a little bit of that DNA, and there's a lot of emphasis on groove and rhythm that's sort of atypical for black metal.
Hmm.
That makes this album very listenable. The production here extremely smooth, extremely like clear and not powerful to the point where it's like exhausting to hear, but just like mixed in such a way that it really goes down easily and lets you appreciate all the little both heavy and light nuances of everything. The drums are uh not super crisp, but I think when it pulls back and they're doing sort of the tom and the open snare fills and rolls while there's quiet stuff going on, those are just like feed them to
Hmm.
me with a spoon. I love it all. So good. There's one in particular I heard this morning in either track 2 or 3, I don't remember, but it was just awesome. And yeah, the length works, the incorporation of some piano and strings in there is beautiful. There's a little bit of that both in the heavy and in the light sections. Um, the I didn't directly get the connections with the fountain, but the vibe of it is right on par with that, where it's just like you're swept up in something epic. some grand cosmic journey here. And yeah, it's dark without being like oppressive. It's
Hmm.
dark in a more sort of gothic, romantic vibe.
It's very romantic,
Yeah,
yeah. I feel like reading
melancholy.
the lyrics, it's very I don't know if it's about love, but it's very loving, you know?
Yeah. It's it's inviting. It's not
Yeah.
oppressive and off-putting. It's like black metal, dark black metal that draws you in and makes you want to hear more. So very well done by these guys.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Matt said. I really enjoyed the album. Solid black metal, very atmospheric. Um, I don't have too much really to say about this one, but I didn't check out their other albums, and I know that this is kind of a continuation.
Hmm.
You mentioned Dave, yeah. Um, so I'll have to go back and kind of listen to those, but uh, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
All right. um 90% of what I wrote about this album is like complete nonsense. So let me get all of the relevant opinions that are like my takes that are actually relevant out of the way first. Uh this was fucking awesome. This was like one of the best albums I've heard all year.
Damn.
And dude, so good. To the point where I also kind of struggled to really know what to say in a like direct way.
Hmm.
Um, and apparently, it's one of the best atmospheric black metal albums that I've ever heard. This album is like an invisible opera. You know, it conjures mental imagery of Renaissance oil paintings and theater, and it's intensely dramatic and very romantic, like y'all said. The very first review I ever wrote for Can This Even Be Called Music was Rien Ne Suffit by Plebeian Grandstand. And I said a lot of similar things about that album in my review, which is that it's like it's like very sexy. It's like so sleek and sculpted. And speaking about, I guess, both albums in this case, it's just so tuned and like trimmed where nothing extra is included. And it's very beautiful. And yeah, the atmospheric parts, I like that the atmospheric parts are still kind of busy a little bit. Like there's good piano and there's busy drums. It all just feels completely appropriate. Nothing sounds like it doesn't belong there. The vocals also kind of is like operatic, but not in the
Hmm.
sense of, singing like with a
Very
soprano.
theatrical.
Yeah, you can, the vocalist, his voice is breaking. He clearly is whatever he is talking about. And I read some of the lyrics. This dude, he loves poetry. Okay.
Yeah.
He's talking about poetry. He's talking about, it's all about love, like you said. I
Hmm.
mean, it's bleeding heart.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't have to be entirely sensical or logical. It's from this band's heart, and it's very, very good. That being said, like I said, it was slow at work yesterday, so I wrote so much nonsense about this, but I wanted to get that out of the way first. I just think this is really funny, so I have to give this story.
Well, before that, I think you
Yeah.
mentioned the Plebeian Grandstand, but I think that album is specifically is very oppressive. Like that's
Oh
the
yeah.
oppressive atmospheric sound, but you've got
Yeah.
the non-oppressive sound of Miserere Luminis. But
Yeah. Like what's there's that painting of I think it's Lucifer. Don't quote me on that, but like it's the guy and he's like hiding his face, but he has a tear on his eye. Like he
uh,
I'll
I
figure this
got you.
out, Mad or whatever. Okay, I'll figure it out and we'll throw it on the TV there. But yeah, there's with Plebeian Grandstand, they make music that actually sounds evil to me,
Yeah.
but it's very dramatic. And like each song has an arc, and then the entire album has an arc, and it feels that way with Sidera as well. But while listening to this, I guess partially because I was struggling to figure out what do I even say. Like I feel like I already said this in the Plebeian Grandstand review. I noticed that so the first tag on their Bandcamp is atmospheric black metal. And just out of curiosity, I was like, what do people really mean by that? Like, how could an album not be atmospheric? Music inherently creates an atmosphere in the space where it's played. Like, how are you going to say that an album doesn't take place somewhere? And when I think of atmospheric black metal, the first thing that comes to mind are all those black metal albums that are described as icy. And it pisses me off. There are thousands of them, probably tens of thousands. And I can kind of understand why you would want your black metal album to be described as icy. Being super cold is miserable. If you get too cold for too long, you fucking die. Immortal, okay, Immortal, they put out 3 albums in a row about how cold it is in Norway. Battles in the North in 1997, Blizzard Beasts in 1997, or sorry, Battles in the North is 1995. Blizzard Beasts in 1997, and At the Heart in Winter in 1999. So I'm like, okay, so black metal has always been associated with the winter time, at least Norwegian black metal. But if that's the case, then explain this. The first paragraph on the Wikipedia page for climate of Norway says the climate of Norway is more temperate than expected for high latitudes. This is mainly due to the North Atlantic current with its extension, the Norwegian current raising the air temperature. And Immortal's website literally says in huge letters on the front page of their site, a fierce forger of ice cold black metal. Immortal was formed in Bergen, Norway. For 3 decades, Immortal has delivered massive, majestic riffs, grim, frostbitten vocals, and I don't know what they're saying here. Tales from the mighty Blashirk battlefield realm of eternal darkness and winter. So that's on the front page of the site. That's 3 references to how cold it is in Norway. But the climate section of Bergen's Wikipedia page says that the highest temperature ever recorded was 33.4 degrees Celsius or 92.1 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. The lowest recorded temperature, or wait, no, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Highest temperature, 33.4 degrees Celsius, 92 degrees Fahrenheit in 2019. The lowest temperature ever recorded in Bergen was negative 16.3 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit in 1987. The lowest recorded temperature in my city is negative 31.11 degrees Celsius or negative 24 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, they probably do think that winter is awesome and super inspiring because winter in Bergen is actually just autumn. They don't even fucking have winter.
So they're a fraud, basically, right?
Dude, 3 references to it being cold as shit where they come from. It's like the not even that cold. They don't even have winter.
Yeah, well,
But
where's your icy, grim, frostbitten black metal album then, Bishop? Get working on it.
Well, apparently, dude, I was gonna say I don't even want to know what the lowest temperature is where you live, Dave. Probably like negative 50 degrees.
True Tennessean black metal.
Yeah, dude. I went down that rabbit hole because I was like, what actually is the atmosphere? Because this doesn't Sidera does not make me think icy, not at all. And it doesn't make me think Antropoceno. I think, yeah, it's atmospheric, but it kind of feels hot. Like, okay, I'm in the forest. So what biome am I in this Sidera album? Like, I guess I'm in a museum or a tomb or something.
I guess so.
So I can respond to this if you want.
I would love that. I have one more bit. I don't even know if it's actually relevant. I'll do it very quickly. If you look up atmospheric black metal, just Googling that on Rate Your Music, the number one rated atmospheric black metal album is Burzum's Philosophim. And that kind of surprised me. I know enough about Varg to know that he's like a neo-Nazi piece of shit and he's a dumbass who doesn't know how to make tabletop RPGs. But I had never really like listened to Burzum on purpose. So like I could have gone my entire life without listening to it, but I was like, what if it's actually kind of good? Could I listen to it trying to be fair to just the music itself, not caring about Varg? It actually does like kind of suck. And I know that it's there's context here. It was recorded in 1993 with the worst gear on purpose. It doesn't matter. It actually just kind of sucks. Like what was groundbreaking about that? Minor chords? They just fuck off with that.
Probably, yeah.
It's really not that good. That's all. I'm done.
Well, the explanation is that users of Rate Your Music are neo-Nazis, right?
No, no,
No?
that's not what I
Okay.
think.
So
No.
so Burzum's Philosophim is not a good album. However, it was an incredibly influential album. And that's why it's at the top of that Rate Your Music list, because
Okay, yeah.
there's a lot of examples of bands that were not particularly good but had an idea and got imitated a lot. And every early 2000s, mid 2000s atmospheric black metal band was directly or indirectly influenced by Philosophim, because what that album did is it took Norwegian black metal, which was this aggressive, abrasive thing, and said, what if we just added a lot of reverb and blew it out to like these long songs that kind of meander, and that's that. And a bunch of other bands were like, "Ooh, we could do
That
that."
album, it sounds like it doesn't even have reverb on it. It's just like
Yeah, I mean
a
that maybe that
harsh.
wasn't there yet.
Okay,
I think I've
okay,
probably only heard that album once or slightly less than once, because for the same reason, like I kind of got into black metal when Krallice came out. Everything before
okay.
that wasn't super appealing to me. And then there was a lot of your Wolves in the Throne Room and the whole Cascadian scene. I was really into that.
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
was that particular niche of black metal that finally got me on board. Like Immortal, I hate Immortal. I'm not going to listen to Immortal. They're goofy and they suck. Um,
yeah. I kind of feel that way too, but because I know I feel that way, I wanted to be fair. I was like, people love first wave shit. I've never cared a lot, but
Yeah.
I was trying to like, is there something that I can appreciate? I feel like there's something I can appreciate in nearly all music.
mhm.
Uh, I think it's funny that he was like, he didn't even use an amp, I guess. He just like plugged into a like stereo speakers and used a shitty microphone. This is on the Wikipedia page or something, but like the philosophum in this case was the music it speaks for itself. It needs nothing flashy.
Mhm.
So he was antithetical to what you were saying earlier, Dave, of like
Yeah.
a certain amount of money is required to get an idea across most effectively, or at least most presentably. And he was like, I'm not going to do that. But the result is that it actually does sound bad in a bad way.
Yeah.
And it's just, I didn't think it was
Yeah.
that good.
So I don't there's a phenomenon that I've talked about before, either on the podcast or on Reddit, that I call second order influence, where the phenomenon is a band does something
Yeah.
and then one band copies that band and then a million bands copy the second band without necessarily knowing the first band. I don't
Sure.
know if this is true, but if that applied here, the first order album is Philosophim. It had like the seed of the idea of what atmospheric black metal would be, but the imitation that then got copied is Weakling's Dead as Dreams. All
That's the
modern
number two.
atmospheric black metal goes back to Weakling's Dead as Dreams, which may or may not actually be a good album, but that was the influence. That was the seed that launched 1,000 ships for what became atmospheric black metal. So going back to the question you were asking about, like everything has an atmosphere. What do you mean atmospheric black metal? everything has a melody too, and yet melodic black metal and melodic death metal are
The
subgenres.
worst. I
So
never want to hear it.
the idea of sticking that kind of adjective descriptor in front of a genre is not that it has this thing, it's that it emphasizes this thing. Atmospheric black metal is heavy on the atmosphere, the vibe, the reverb of it. Melodic black metal is heavy on the riffs, the melodies, the hooks. Technical black metal, which is an extremely rare thing because most black metal isn't about musical proficiency, but there's a very niche subgenre of bands like Absurd and Drotnar that will take black metal and just do like really janky angular stuff with it. So it's about
Ad
like
nauseum.
which aspect of this sound is your band focusing on. And yeah, I wouldn't call Miserere Luminis atmospheric black metal because they don't have that washed out reverby like a lot. It's atmospheric black metal in my mind is very similar to post metal, your Isis and Cult of Luna
I was
stuff,
thinking
where
that too.
the point is the expansive and relatively musically simple sound. Like you go back to that early Wolves in the Throne
Yeah.
Room stuff, and it's like a 15-minute song with two riffs in it, you know, and that's certainly not what's going on here with Miserere
Yeah.
Luminis and with stuff like that. So they're drawing inspiration from some atmospheric, some cosmic black metal, which is your Mesarthims and Dark Spaces of the world, and some gothic, you know, Tristania. I don't listen to a lot of gothic, so I don't have touch points for that. But they're cobbling together bits and pieces of all those sounds to make something that's a little bit distinct. That's my genre.
Yeah, and
Subgenre.
a lot of, symphonic, but not symphonic black metal,
Mhm.
because symphonic, metal is very bombastic, but this is not.
Yeah.
I thought
So,
that too. I was like this was it's at least it seems like it is kind of big with deathcore right now where they're like, let's get a string VST, let's get some string
yeah.
plugins and add it to this, and now we're symphonic. But it's bad. And even though I didn't think that Sidera sounded symphonic, I definitely thought more than once, like, this is what I want symphonic black metal to be.
Yeah.
Uh, so, I mean, Matt, you know how to make an argument that my big head will accept. I still feel like our battle isn't over, but maybe we can continue that at another time. Because I know I talked a lot about that, and so much of it was barely, I mean, tangentially relevant. But great album, amazing. Please listen to it.
It's so good.
Um, I'm up. Am I up?
You're up. Go.
So, kind of embarrassingly, I feel like I kind of have the least to say about this album because everything else was, it felt a little out of my wheelhouse, or just maybe wasn't on my radar at all. Like even with Miserere Luminis, at first I thought that it was, I had them confused with like Lovecraftian sextet or something. So I wasn't really, they're good too, but I just wasn't expecting that. Whereas with Cryptic Shift, I think I probably learned of this band from the blog, have played their music on the radio a bunch of times. And so I somewhat knew what to expect. Uh, Overspace and Supertime. Pretty sure this is Cryptic Shift's second LP. They have other splits and EPs and whatnot. Um, this is a guitar album.
Yeah.
Like usually when I listen to metal bands, it's not that I am not thinking, wow, I love that guitar, or I love what he's doing on guitar. I do think that, but I listen to this and I think this dude is fucking his guitar, or like sucking on it at least. He's licking it. I could see him lick his guitar because he knows that he is like so good at it that this dude has a relationship with his instrument. It makes me think of Van Halen. It makes me think of King Crimson, where it was just badass to love your guitar. Extremely riff dense, The album art is awesome. I like when sci-fi and like metal bands can do justice to having a sci-fi theme.
Mhm.
For a long time, like in the 2000s, at some point, deathcore bands were like, we should stop writing lyrics about being mean to girls. So what do we do next? I guess we just talk about aliens. So we had like the Faceless and Rings of Saturn.
Let's be mean to aliens.
Well, okay, you say that the aliens in those bands, the aliens are mean to us, and they
Oh.
want to hurt us, which really sucks because we don't want to die. But now we've got like Wormed and Aliens Came Back, Blood Incantation. I don't know the lyrics on that album. Maybe the aliens are mean there too, or maybe they're nice. I don't actually know. But this is a futuristic space themed just shred fest. It melts your face.
Yeah.
The lyrics are really funny and almost feel like you could be listening to War of the Worlds like on the radio back in the day. It feels like a play almost. That's the vibe that I got, where I think of just like space rangers having
Yeah.
conversations while they are traveling. One thing that I think is a little unusual, maybe this is a critique, is that, so I know in the past I've said like, okay, in bands you should just be yourself. Some bands don't need to wear masks. Miserere Luminis, they can wear masks. I accept that. This is like the most futuristic sounding thrash, uh, speed metal crossover, but the lyrics are each different line. It tells you who has said it. And so
Yeah.
it'll say like hypnotic vivisection from Farrington, and then icicles of the lost hypothesis from Riley. It's something, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like I guess they're the astronauts. The guys in the band are the astronauts. They are in the story. It just seemed kind of funny that they wouldn't give themselves like some kind of cooler name, considering we've got hexagonal eyes, diverity, trepa fimphasm. You and but Bradley's on the ship. We got Bradley on the ship. But very impressive musically. It does feel a
But
little long.
but you know, Bradley's name is Xander. I mean, that's
Yeah,
futuristic, right?
Xander is futuristic. I think so too.
That's so cool.
I think the biggest takeaway that I had is within the first like 30 seconds, I was reminded of King Crimson and Robert Fripp's League of Crafty Guitarists, which is not an easy thing to really emulate. And I'm not saying that they were intentionally emulating it, but like Xander, that's a dude who I assume if you use the word chordal in a conversation, like Chordal, Xander knows what you're saying. He can use that word in a sentence properly. Uh, he knows what he is doing. None of it is guesswork. And like I remember listening to In the Court of the Crimson King for the first time and feeling like it still sounded futuristic. And I revisited it this morning and it still kind of sounds futuristic. So I think my main thing here is this actually does kind of sound futuristic. And I'm impressed by that because obviously there's been 56 years since In the Court of the Crimson King, and it's hard to feel like something is reflective of an imagined future because like culturally there's no positive imagined future anymore.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all dystopian. But I hear this and I think maybe we're in some ships, okay? Maybe we're looking for some icicles and the icicle does some mathematical thing and I fuck with that. Sounds really, really good, mixes really good. Everyone is the best at their instrument. That's honestly kind of all I got.
Uh, did you read the lyrics? Because I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say they are, future optimistic or future dystopic?
Uh, I don't know if I would really say either.
I agree with that.
And yeah, it's more like it is a narrative story of like it's taking place in real time, but
Okay.
obviously in the future. But it's not like I don't think that it's apocryphal
Okay.
necessarily. It's not the future will eventually be
Hmm.
here and it's gonna suck. It's we're in the future and large scale
And it rules.
and it rules. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of refreshing, honestly, to just like, yeah, dude, hyper solstice flux. Bradley said that. The hyper
I have a
solstice
question
flux.
about that. I didn't notice this until just now about when you look on the lyrics and it's got all these little quotes with names, but that's not
Hmm.
all the lyrics. Are those named solos?
I don't think so.
No?
Because
No,
some of
the,
them come back.
yeah, it's like it's almost like the lyrics, a large part of them are they're giving each other transmissions, like they're talking to each other,
Hmm.
or like they're all kind of narrators in a way. So there will be like a stanza of lyrics, and then someone else in the band will say something.
Hmm.
But yeah, the way that they quote themselves is a little unusual. I don't know if that was
It's funny.
necessary. Yeah, it's really kind of funny.
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason I asked that in the last track, there's a Browning that comes out of nowhere who is not a band member. He is a guest thereminist on the album.
Oh, hell yeah.
So is that not a theremin solo being indicated? I'm not sure.
Wait, I'm gonna try and find
Maybe
it.
I'll have to. But what was the other band that we mentioned
Exul,
named
wasn't it, that
solos?
named their
Exul.
solos?
Yeah.
That's
Crazy
why I was
stuff.
wondering. Like we talked about how cool that was. I
That's so
wonder if
funny
this is
too.
that.
It's like cool but funny. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like Back to the Future. It reminds me of that for some reason.
Hmm.
That kind of mindset. I don't know about the future, about guitar, about going to the past and shredding a solo with an early rock band.
Yeah, it is funny and it's obviously playful.
Yeah,
It's cool to see, like I said, sci-fi themes. Because just for a long time it was just aliens are here and I guess we're fucked. That's all we got is aliens are here and they're mad at us. But there are other ways of incorporating sci-fi themes. Like the lyrics are kind of like Wormed, if you've ever read Wormed
yeah,
lyrics, where these guys, they love this. They're thinking about this all the time. And it shows. It's
yeah.
not some, yeah, we'll just think of some like story in the future, but doesn't really matter. Just say whatever. They give a shit big time. That's what I got.
It's
I
so
think that
good too.
Yeah. I think the clearest touch point for this album, for better or worse, is Vector's Terminal Redux, which is an album
Yeah.
that is
Yeah,
incredible, but I don't listen to anymore because of the allegations against the vocalist. And you can just listen to
yeah,
Vexavoid instead if you ever have the
yeah,
itch to listen to Vector, or you can listen to Cryptic Shift now. This is a
yeah.
little bit more on the heavy death side of things, and also a little bit more jazz, which is a fun and welcome addition.
I will accept that in this case. I accept that.
Jazz in a compositional, like they know they didn't bring in a saxophone, but like the
Hmm.
drummer will do jazz beats and the clean guitar will do the drummer I noticed in their band picture on Metal Archives is wearing an Alan Holdsworth shirt, which makes perfect sense because
Super
there's a lot of that
fusion.
kind of technical wankery incorporated into this, said
Yeah.
belovingly, not dismissively.
Yeah.
That being said, I, despite the fact that we're recording this on the last day of May and we've had a lot of time to sit with quarter one albums and think about them, I think I need to spend still more time with this
Oh
album.
yeah, it's so
Yeah,
Um,
dense.
yeah,
it's dense. I look, you know, I love a long song and a long
Hmm.
album and a complex narrative and all that stuff. But for whatever reason, this is an album I've started half a dozen times and I'm not sure I ever
yeah,
finish. Because it's a demanding listen, and that's without
Yeah.
even having the lyrics and the story open and trying to figure out what's going on with all of that. I just kind of was like, let me hear this thrash death jazz thing in my ears, and I still had a hard time getting all the way through it. Um, there's just a lot to it, but as I'm listening to it, I'm just like rocking out. I'm like, yes, this
Oh
is
yeah.
amazing. It is technical. It is super creative. It's creative in a way it's so like lightning fast, riff after riff, part
Yeah.
after part, that it's a lot to take in to
Non-stop.
like genuinely appreciate. Like I know this is good, but I still feel like it's alienating me, pun maybe intended with the sci-fi themes and all that a little bit. So like I don't have anything bad to say about it, but I'm just like it's a lot, and props on them for that because it's good to give people a lot to chew on. That's going to be a few years before they come back with another album, so we've got some time to sit with this one and really take our time digging into it.
And they've got two songs over 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's another. The
And it's
sequencing is weird. Like
crazy.
the second track on the album is 29 minutes long. I love
Yeah.
a 29-minute long song, but why put it there? That feels strange to me.
Ask
that's
Riley.
dude, that's the future. That
Yeah.
is the futuristic thing to do. You wouldn't understand.
I
Yep.
guess.
You'll get it in 10 years.
You think this album takes place in 2036?
No, but I don't know, man. Maybe.
Yeah, it might. I mean, they're just so far away. Everything seems exotic and alien, but it's like, no, dude, this happened right now. Like 10, dude, this is right now, actually. I had it all wrong. It's not futuristic at all. This is just what we're doing, and you are not.
Yeah. Well, it's basically that. Those guys are doing it right now, and we're out like, what
They're
the
on an
hell?
alternate timeline.
Like,
It's
Yep.
damn.
present, but from a different universe.
I wish I was on the ship, guys. It sounds like really awesome.
Yeah, I guess they went close to the black hole and then time spent forward or something.
I think I'm cool too.
Yeah. Well, you could have a named solo too on the album
God,
if you had a theremin.
I can get one.
Do
What
it.
did what did you think, Jeff?
I enjoyed this. Usually you pick albums that are kind of out there for me, but this being like a kind of prog death metal, it kind of fit in with my typical taste. So I really enjoyed it. The sci-fi aspect really appealed to me as well. So uh, this is definitely one I'm going to come back to and give more time to. But I really enjoyed it. And as Matt mentioned, the long songs. I love a long song myself. So 29 minute, 20 minute, good
Yeah,
stuff.
the big ones. Well, it's got futuristic concept. It's got guitar. Dude, that's just Coheed and Cambria.
Oh yeah, I'll be seeing them
That's
in about 2 weeks.
Don't go
really.
there.
That's all I'm gonna say. No, I
Don't
mean,
go there.
no, it's a like Matt said, it's a demanding album. It takes a lot to go through it and listen to it from beginning to end because it's quite long. I think it should be about an hour long, maybe more.
No, it's more.
Uh,
Hour
it's
20,
more.
I think.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Um,
An hour and
yeah.
20, and it's like it's packed to the brim with riff after riff and super fast riffs and solos and shredding, and then you bring in the weird lyrics about future technology that doesn't exist yet. And yeah, you've got something, you've got your handful right now. but it's super awesome that this album exists. Matt already did the connection with Vector and Vexovoid, uh, so I'm not I don't have anything to add there, but it's so good. I was on a bit of a listening tangent earlier this year with the old Watchtower, the album they did with when Charzambek came in the band, like their second album, Control and Resistance, and you know the lyrics kind of futuristic, kind of also very entangled with the Cold War at the time and the nuclear proliferation and all of that. But we don't have that anymore. We don't have like those politically active thrash bands. And that would be cool, you know. Imagine Cryptic Shift, but instead of talking about random future stuff, they're talking about how shit the politics are today. That would be pretty cool, I think.
Maybe they are, and they're just using allegory and metaphor to do it, and none of us
No,
noticed.
they got me. Got me. I'm
You
not
don't you don't want
not
to know
genius.
you don't want to know about these alien politics, okay? It would go
Yeah.
right over your head. These problems are super complex.
They make our pitiful mortal human
Yeah,
problems look
we wouldn't
embarrassing in
e-
comparison.
we wouldn't even understand them.
Speaking of Watchtower, what did you think of the newer 2011, I think, or something like that album? Because
Don't think I've heard it.
you don't think I've heard you
I've
heard
heard
it?
it.
Really? Like the new one book concept of maths book one? No.
Mm.
Damn. Because it's you know it's pretty good, but it's not Watchtower. I don't feel like it's Watchtower. You know, you hear about you hear the
You're
old
talking about
albums.
an EP from
Yeah,
2016. Yeah.
16. Okay.
Okay.
Well, you hear about, you know, you listen to the old albums and it's, you know, their whole thing. But you listen to the new stuff, I feel like Ron Jarzombek has, you know, made it its own thing. It sounds like a Ron Jarzombek album, like
Mm.
a Blotted Science, basically with a singer.
Mm.
So I don't know, kind of not, not, I don't know. I'm kind of bummed out about that. That's all.
One more thing, it says this on the Bandcamp, but the fact that Cryptic Shift, the lead guitarist, is the vocalist,
Yeah,
compounded with two 20-minute songs, that is unreal. Like
yeah.
that's so much shit to remember. Dude, it like I've had this conversation with Calder Hannon, like metal music theory guy, of what compels metal musicians to write music that's so insane and complex for essentially no reward. And that's a conversation for another time, but that seems like, dude, it's not worth it. Like being famous, even being famous or remembered for doing it, it's not worth how hard it seems like it would be to me to remember an hour and 20 minutes worth of music with like 10 pages of lyrics and to do it at the same time. That's so crazy.
I
Speaking from
feel
experience with long songs, you don't do it for the fame. You just do it for the love of the game.
Oh,
Just
well, of
that's what you've got
course.
inside of you, you know?
Of course. Of course.
I feel like we're so dumb right now because you know, back in like ancient Greece, they you know told the story of the Iliad and Odyssey around the campfire, and they didn't have any note
Oral
about that,
tradition.
and it's like 300 pages worth of stuff. I feel like with the like the coming of writing and even more today with the computer and all of that, we just like remove our memory and put it on paper or put it on the computer and we're just like free, but we could do that. It's in the realm of human potential, but we just don't use it at all.
Speak for yourself.
Every technological advancement has made us less human. We just
Yeah,
don't want to think about that.
exactly. Primitivism. Let's go back to the Stone Age.
That's what Antropoceno was talking about. Maybe,
Exactly.
maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe that's what Cryptic Shift is about.
No,
Who
wait, bro.
knows?
They ain't even had guitar because
No.
it would be boring. We would all be bored. No guitar.
Yeah, I know, but we'd bang rocks together. That would be cool.
Bang rocks and hum.
Yeah, and try to make a fire to survive the night.
And hum. Yeah, that does sound fun. I would do that. Maybe we could do that for the first, can this even be called music meetup? Yeah,
Damn.
we could
Yeah.
hum, have a fire.
Yeah, we just
It,
go naked, bring nothing, and we're in the, in nature,
we would need rocks, so it would at least need to be somewhere where there is rocks,
Well,
at least.
let's hope so.
Cool. Matt, you had mentioned honorable mentions.
I got
Damn.
lots. I don't necessarily want to start, but yeah, let's talk about all the other good stuff from the quarter.
Okay. I feel like I didn't listen to a lot of music in the last couple months. This just happens to me sometimes where I'm like, I don't want to listen to music. But then when we have the podcast, I'm like, oh, I love this. I'm gonna write like 3 pages of nonsense where I'm talking about how it's not actually cold in Norway, and it brings me back every time. So
Well,
someone has to go before me.
yeah, I can do it. I've listened to, well, I suggested Halles Panorama to Jeff when he asked about recommendations for his pick. And I feel like this is a great prog rock album, a bit retro, very good. There's the Fendrana album, Cathexis. It's kind of prog black metal coming from Mexico. A very good album. Uh, the the one album I chose before picking and ending up picking Miserere Luminis was Korima. Korima is one of my favorite bands of all time, but I felt like Hunapku, their newest album, I don't know. It's good, it's great, but I don't know. I just couldn't, didn't have much to say about it. I don't feel it's as good as Amaterasu, which was their previous album. So yeah. Um, there's an incredible jazz fusion album from the Anthony Jambon group. It's called Relativity. It's over 100 minutes. It's incredible jazz fusion. You gotta check it out. Uh, and after that, yeah, that's pretty much it for the big names from that quarter. Yeah.
Bostonage put out an album. Was that even this year? It's time is ago, bro. Bostonage put out an album. It was pretty good. Um, Cognizance has stuff coming out. I've been listening to, like I said, really not much. Luge, one of my
Hmm.
favorite bands of all time, close friend with Tobias, the guitar player of Luge. They have an album coming out next month, and I've listened to. Well, actually, I got a test pressing of the vinyl, and it's super
Damn.
good. Um, Freaking what else? I haven't checked the blog. Honestly, that's where I would find stuff where I'm like, yeah, that's what I listen to.
Hell yeah. Product placement.
I also haven't really listened to that much, although I did listen to the new Devin Townsend, which we got the promo copy of. So that's been on repeat basically since we got the promo, which I've been enjoying. It's uh, every time Devin Townsend does a new album, he kind of does something a little different. And this kind of is back to like the deconstruction Ziltoid 2 kind of era where it's like all with orchestra and choir and concept and stuff like that. But he's had this album in the works for like over a decade, so this is definitely a passion project for him. And it's good as a whole piece, but there are certain songs that I like more that stand out a little bit more to me. Um, but I've been enjoying it a lot.
All right. So my brief honorable mentions are, if we're talking about atmospheric black metal, one of the best to ever do it is Olhava, and they
Oh
put
yeah.
out yet another album, Memorial, in February. Um, I don't know if I've fully listened to it yet, but on the other hand, I have because I've heard their previous albums, and they just each of their albums that they put out is kind of a continuation of the same sound and theme, and it's all great, but it's not very distinct from each other. So it's something you put on to just like vibe to and zone out to, hence the atmospheric part of atmospheric metal, black metal. Obdurate put out an incredible album. I think
Yep.
this is a solo project called Hamartia, with a couple guest musicians on it. It is very sleek and refined, modern prog metal, not modern metal in a gent sense, but more like thinking about that sort of not quite Jarzambek, but
Hmm.
bands like Spiral Architect and stuff like that. That is a modernization of that. Maybe a little Animals as leaders, but not as virtuosically talented as that, just in terms of complex arrangements. Oh, another good touch point. Well, who's that guy, Dave, that you know, Contemplator?
Yeah.
That kind of, this is right in the vein of that
Yeah.
kind of like music head composition, modern metal. Beautifully done. Brendan Sloan does vocals on one of the tracks. It's fantastic. But the big three that all of these albums could have been my pick if not for Antropoceno coming in and trampling down civilization and my list. Worm, Necropalace, just not a lot to say about it, but just this thick, swamp drenched, sludgy death metal with face melting guitar solos over it and like symphonic keys. Um, it's a phenomenal album. Huge fan. Um, a band that I found on Reddit because they did a little self promotion, and you never know what you're going to get with that. Could be the worst thing you've ever heard in your life, or could be the best. This is a band called Rose Peak,
Hmm.
and the album Brothers came out earlier this year, and they state right up front like we're really trying to do the Mahavishnu Orchestra thing, which is like 70s symphonic jazz fusion with a lot of technical virtuosity. And so you go in, take that with a grain of salt, and then you click play, and it's like, oh my gosh, I've never heard anybody attempting to do this in the modern era. And the vocals are maybe like an 8 out of 10, but the music is an 11 out of 10. They are just so talented and so creative, and the way I almost hate making this comparison, but the way that Greta Van Fleet exists now and all they're doing is just being Led Zeppelin in 2026. Um, that's kind of what this band is doing with Mahavishnu Orchestra, but it's a lot better because Mahavishnu Orchestra is actually good, and it's a good thing to rip off them and try to sound like that. And there are some longer instrumental pieces balanced with some shorter, sort of poppier, funkier
Hmm.
interpretations of the theme. So you do get some diversity on the album, and I strongly recommend if you have any inclination toward classic sounding jazz fusion type stuff, please give that a listen. And last but not least, I sort of pre-picked this and it ended up not being that worth talking about. I really wanted to talk about Poppy because I'm a huge Poppy fan. And she put out her, I think, sixth album, Empty Hands, in January.
One day,
And
Matt. One day we're gonna talk about Poppy.
the great thing about Poppy over the course of her career is her constant reinvention and exploration of different genres. You get, sort of the early stuff, Am I a Girl and X, which was her kind of exploring and finding a sound. And then she did some excursions with Flux, which is very like garage rock, sort of pop punk, stripped down, not a lot of screaming, not even a lot of metal on that album.
Hmm.
And then similarly, Zig, very electronic, very industrial, totally different sound from Flux, totally different sound from her prior stuff to that, very experimental. Then she gets hooked up with Jordan Fish and puts out Negative Spaces, which was different from all her previous stuff, but sort of found a lane of like mixing pop with this modern metal Sumerian sound core type stuff. And it was perfect. Like that album has a lot of diversity. It's got really heavy tracks. It's got really poppy tracks. It's got some of the garage rock. The title track is very like garage rock, pop punk kind of stuff. So still experimental, still very creative, but with her being in control, like her early stuff, she was being produced by other people. And over the past several albums, she's continued like developing her sound and finding her own voice. So big hype for Empty Hands coming out. The early tracks that came out had all kind of a particular, like, not reinventing the wheel. We're just doing more of this modern pop metal sound. She did a collaboration with Amy Lee from Evanescence, which makes a lot of sense when you listen to, like, there's clearly a lot of that influence creeping in. And so then the album comes out, and while it does have some diversity of sound, what it basically sounds like is B-sides from the Negative Spaces recording sessions. It's no new material, and it's just stuff that sounds like that and wasn't really as good, with a couple of exceptions, as what she had done before. So as a big fan of like hearing new and creative things from her, I didn't feel like I was hearing that, and that was kind of a disappointment, even though the album's still good. It's just it's just good. And it's not like, wow, this is an incredible new Poppy album. There weren't that many songs on it that go on to my like best of Poppy playlist that I'm excited when they come up on shuffle. There's a couple really good ones, but I just felt like there was a lot of potential left on the table, which is not something I'm used to saying about her, because she's always exploring and pushing boundaries and trying new stuff. And I really hope this isn't a sign that she has just settled into this one sound and is going to stay there, because we need Poppy to be constantly surprising us and doing new things. And I just
Who's
wasn't
this?
surprised by this album.
Who's this we?
The Poppy fandom. Like, she's become very, very well known now,
No, I
which
know, I know.
I mean, I
Is
just
there
don't
not
want
a
fame can sometimes crystallize your sound. It's like, well, people like me for this now, so I have to keep
yeah?
doing this. But I don't think her fandom believes that. I think there's people who have been around for since the original like weirdo YouTube era, where she was just a performance artist more than a music artist. And it's like, you've covered so many bases, just keep going. Put out
Does
a
the fan base have a name? You know how like with Ethel
no
Cain,
idea.
there's Daughters of Cain.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
It's poppers.
wow. Yeah,
Pop
you
heads.
yeah, Pophead. I'm partial to whatever it is, head. I'm kind of partial to that. Um, I should listen to Poppy. While you were talking about it, I was like, dude, I don't have any fucking idea what you're talking about, because I haven't listened to like more than one or two songs from her. But it would be funny to have a podcast episode where you just tell us about Poppy.
Man, I could go on. I could walk through her discography for a good hour and a half.
Yeah.
Damn.
Um, I was looking through. I have a playlist of just my favorite stuff from this year so far. McCluskey or McCluskey. My dad sent me that. It was good as shit. Yeah, McCluskey. I sure am getting sick of this bowling alley. Super super good. I love that. The Silver came back and released Looking Glass Hymnal Blue. It is amazing. They put out an album in 2021 that I was blown away by, and then they disappeared. That was actually originally going to be my pick for this quarter, but Cryptic Shift, I mean, it's kind of a toss up. I sometimes like an album, I don't have any expectation about it, and then I have a lot to say, and then other ones, I know that it's amazing, and it's like it's so good that I can only really speak of it in a indirect way, I guess. Uh, Poison the Well put out Peace in Place. It was actually really good. Will Putney produced it, so it's extremely punchy and very big. That was good. AIDS Wolf. I love AIDS Wolf. One of my favorite skin graft bands released like a lost EP of music. It sounds like shit and it's very abrasive, so it's amazing. Bostonage put out an album. I don't get it, which was sad. I just didn't get it. Same with Good Tiger. I love Good Tiger and everything that Elliot Coleman, anything that he does vocals on, I'll listen to it. Their last album I thought was amazing. This one is called the most negative day of the year, which is a very funny uh, album title, but I don't understand it like melodically or really what they were trying to do. They're kind of an outsider of the like modern post-hardcore band realm, but I always it leaves me feeling unhappy if really loving an album, of course, that's great. Really hating something in a sort of way, that's also great. But feeling confused or like I just don't understand an album is kind of the worst. And that's how I felt about Good Tiger.
Mhm.
Fossilization put out Advent of Wounds. That's a big slab of some nastiness. Nightmare put out Hell Interface EP.
I
I
hate that
love
that's an EP. I wanted more.
They're so good. Very sleek. I love it. I still need to listen to that Worm album. The OC's put out an EP as well. Yeah, I'm kind of light on new releases
Yeah,
in my
that's plenty.
playlist. Sick.
The other thing I'll plug, and this is cheating because it's not from quarter one, but last night I was up in Philadelphia for the release of the new Objects LP, which
Nice.
is friends of mine on
Nice.
bass and drums with another guy who I just met on guitar, and they're doing post metal. It's not completely original, but they are doing a different take on it in terms of like long there's a lot of like Russian circles to it, and then they'll go into like big raspy vocals which are sort of uncommon for post metal, huge sounding sections, and as good as they are on record, their live performances are great, and they've only done a handful. So I don't know if they'll get to tour or anything, but if you're in the general Philadelphia area, keep an eye out for them and order a vinyl. Good dudes, good music.
I should.
If you want to catch us on the road, Jeff and I will be at Prague Storm Festival in Montreal in, I think it's August, right? 21st and 22nd August.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so it's a big Prague, mostly metal festival in Montreal. Like Friday, there's Cynic, Vulcan, Grey Lotus, Eternam, Fractal Sun, Hillward, a bunch of really cool names. Saturday, the big name is Car Bomb. There's gonna be also Ancients, Abstract Illusions, Exist, Desiderium, which we talked
Sidera,
about.
my
Yeah.
guy.
Chronochromy, which I might play with. And then that Sunday, there's Pure Reason, Revolution, Wilderun, Dawn of Ouroboros, No Spoon, Heaven's Cry, and Sky Passage. So a really cool lineup. Come hang out with us.
You said you might be playing with Chronochromy.
Maybe, yeah. So it's not official yet, but I joined the band on bass,
Whoa.
and I'm currently learning the songs. It's very hard.
Oh
So
yeah.
imagine like the proggier parts of Between the Buried and Me, and maybe the instrumental parts from Dream Theater, and maybe a bit of Haken thrown in the mix, but no, it's mostly instrumental. There's very few vocals in there, but yeah, so I'm trying to learning the songs. It's going well, but it takes some time. So hopefully I'll be ready for the stage in August, but maybe not.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm really glad because I've been looking to join a band for some time now, and I just saw them on Facebook, and they didn't seem to have a bass player. So I was like, "Hey, you guys looking for a bass player?" And they were like, "Not really, but maybe, you know." So
That's
yeah, so they sent me a tab for one of their songs. So I learned it. Send them a video of me playing, and they were like, "Yeah, that's good. You're in." So,
How is Valaquenta going?
uh, the guitars and bass have been completed for some
Well,
time now,
yeah,
a few months, I'd say, and maybe a little bit of you know, touch up will need to be done. But other than that, I think we're over the halfway point on drums. And vocals is close behind. Let me get my track sheet.
I was gonna say it's just such a ambitious 29 songs, bro.
Yeah, bro.
That's too many fucking songs. Wrap
Well, in my defense,
it up.
there are songs that are parts of a bigger song.
I'm just I'm
So
being dumb for no reason.
so it's not that many songs if you glue them together.
Sure.
Um, Actually, I think it's like one, two, three, four, five, 6 songs. If you glue all the parts together, but like three of them would be pretty huge. I
Yeah.
think I don't remember exactly, but I think I was over 140 minutes of material
Oh
when I
my
was looking
God.
at my Reaper project, and that doesn't
Computer.
include a few tracks. So yeah, so we are over halfway done with the drums and close to that with vocals. That's right. So yeah, a big ambitious project.
Yeah.
I'm super hyped to have it finished, but maybe this year will be finished.
I want to hear it all
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
26 tone, metatonal.
you could say that.
Well, you did say that.
Yeah,
I have grabbed. Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's a company.
yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. I thought this was like a further subdivision of like beyond microtonality. Like,
Nanotonal.
yeah, we're picotonal.
No, yeah. So
Cool.
and Matt's been in the studio too.
drums for my next album are recorded, so I just gotta get to mixing. Maybe
That's
2027 release if all
that's
goes
the
well.
worst part.
We can do it, bro.
I hate mixing.
I'm gonna fly Bishop up to do it all for me.
Oh, damn.
Flights there are really not too bad. Um, but yeah, I it is a lot. There's a lot. That's true. Um, 29 songs, that's crazy. I mean, how many songs is PH12?
Well, it's eight, but it's subdivided because each song kind of has some component pieces because I didn't want to record like 20-minute projects with, dozens of tracks. So I kind of split it up into some pieces.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like 27 or 28.
Jeez Louise. You
No.
guys.
Is it like the same length about?
Not always, no.
No, I mean your whole project. How long is it gonna be?
The album
Yeah.
is a shade over 3 hours.
Oh
Damn.
my fucking. It's too much music.
Not even the longest PH album, though.
Oh
Yeah.
my.
Is it the Paragon?
Yeah, that one's 3 hours, 17 minutes.
Damn. So how where would you place it in your discography?
By length, it's,
However you want.
I mean, well, by ambition, it's number one. Like the thing with the Paragon
Okay.
Trisagion is that's not a cohesive album. It's almost a compilation album of stuff I'd been batting around in my head for years while I was making Funeral Doom.
Hmm.
Because I would come up with like classic sounding PH stuff, but it didn't fit on what I was doing with Evelyn or Marybelle, so I just kind of filed it away. And then after that was done, it was like the floodgates opened. It was like, here's a bunch of other songs, and not all thematically connected in any way. But this is a 3 hour long narrative concept album. So it is, my friends were like, can you please split this into two and release it? And I'm like, I can't. It's one thing. It's one, you know, concept. So
They
it all
wouldn't
goes
get it.
together.
Compared to Vox Medusa.
It's very musically different from Vox Medusae, which
Well,
itself was
I
very
think,
different from the Paragon Trisagion. So
yeah, well, I think Vox Medusa was very different from your usual
yes,
stuff,
very
right?
much so. Yeah. And I'm not really thinking about the next album yet, which I kind of always have tried to like think ahead, but like this album's so big that I'm letting it be its own beast.
Yeah.
I don't know if there will be another PH album. Probably someday there will. If there is, it will probably be shorter and more intense the way Vox Medusae was, but we'll
Hmm.
incorporate who knows what I'll be influenced by at that moment in time. So
Yeah.
I'm always going to keep switching it up. Like
Vox
Poppy,
Medusa
or
2.
like Poppy should.
That's cool.
Poppy, call me, let's collaborate.
Hell yeah.
Get her on.
Feet. So, Bishop, you're working on music?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
I always working on something. I know we're like still recording. This has like gone on for I feel like every episode it's like, yeah, we talked about the all the albums, but it's been a while since we've all
Yeah.
been in the same thing. So it's just like shooting the shit. But yeah, been working on some death metal thing that is heavier and kind of like I was saying, where it's hard to just be sitting at a computer and have some ambitious idea and then like actualize it. I have been working on stuff and have like a handful of songs, but uh I went through like a little period where I just didn't feel very inspired by anything. And um so yeah, there's a bunch of stuff being made. I don't think that it will be an hour and a half long. Um hopefully
Three,
not.
maybe?
Yeah, it actually might. I might pull a Bull of Heaven type thing, and the album will be 17 years long. Actually,
Damn.
have you guys seen? Do you guys know what Bull of
Yeah,
Heaven is?
Yep.
Have you
I know the
seen?
reputation.
There's this video that is like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, and it's just some nerdy guy. It's a YouTube video called like uh Bull of Heaven haters shut the hell up or something like that. And it's just an unprompted defense of Bull of Heaven. And I like their music and love their like story, like the whole reason behind making stuff. But there's just something so funny of like shut up Bull of Heaven haters. Like who is for one, who are you talking to? No one even knows who Bull of Heaven is. Two, which Bull of Heaven listener were you speaking to who was like, actually, fuck that, it sucks? And you were like, I'm gonna make a video in response to it. I just think it's so amazing. I need to save it so that it never gets lost. Um, yeah, I'm thinking a 17-year album actually,
That's
something like
that's good.
something like that, and it will be picotonal,
Damn.
like trillionths of a cent or something like that.
Whoa. That's
with,
crazy,
with
dude.
no individual pitch ever repeated on the album.
Yeah,
And the fretboard is like, oops, all frets.
yeah, yeah.
That's a hilarious mental image if you just took a neck of a guitar and just put frets as close together as
Yeah.
possible the whole way. So it's like almost fretless functionally, but you still have the feeling of frets. Just all frets, just this bumpy.
It's just awful.
I'm surprised none of us thought to mention Angine. because they
Well,
blew
that's
up
not
so big.
technically a quarter one release.
That's
I think
not
that's
quarter
April.
one.
We can talk about it next
Oh,
time.
is it not?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it didn't happen yet.
Damn. Okay. True. My bad. Time
it's
time is a
released-
go.
Yeah, it's
Like I
released
said.
early April.
Well, it's good.
Right, it's pretty good. I saw them live too. It was pretty good.
Nice.
All right,
Cool.
Jeff, playing music.
Am I playing any or recording any
Yeah.
music or I've never really actually like written any music. I play guitar, but I need to really practice more to like get into actually making
Yeah.
music.
You should try to do something. That would be
Yeah.
cool. And we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, let's pick Jeff's album for Q1 of 2028.
I feel like I feel as if I really only know how to play my own songs. So I get the feeling. I understand wanting to be like, oh, I need to practice more so that I can actually do something. Dude, no, you don't. Like
Yeah.
I get the riff recorded and then just like I get them all like
Forget it.
well, no, like I record it first and then I have the blueprint and then I learn how to do it in one take.
What I mean more
the
is
way.
I need to focus on bettering my technique more so that I actually have some skill to like produce something.
Sure, yeah. No technique. You think I got technique?
You could play grindcore.
But
Dude,
if I'm
yeah,
trying to measure up to some like prog stuff, then I really need to
Yeah.
work on that.
that I can't help with.
Yeah, Prague is full of kind of gatekeeping.
It's too much.
You need
Prague
to be
too
good.
hard.
You need to
You gotta
have
be-
money.
Yeah, according to you, you got to be rich. You got to work hard.
Yeah, that
You
sucks.
got to be the best. You better find someone
Mhm.
who's also the best, and they better have money, and they
Yep.
better like you because they're going to be
Exactly.
spending money too. That's what happened with they said in monochromie or chroma whatever it is. They said how much money you got. If you're
Yeah.
going to play bass in this band,
First question.
they were like, "What brand is that guitar? What brand's that bass? It better be good."
Better be good. It's a Kirkland.
Yeah, well, I've never heard of it.
Well, it's the Costco brand.
That's great.
You're out.
All right, guys. Let's get out of here.
All right. Bye.
See you
See
next
you
quarter.
guys. See you next
Bye.
time.